Well, good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve on the 14th of November, and I have just downloaded the new Clif High crypto report, and I've been reading that for the last couple of days. And here is the covering photograph, and it's called Crypto Storm. I don't know where Clif gets these photographs from, but they're pretty impressive. They're really eye-catching. Anyways, first of all, before I start, I should do a little disclaimer here that Clif and I are not offering any investment advice whatsoever. Okay, what this report is about is getting you to do your own research, your own due diligence, and investigate these currencies. And when you do, you will be fully appraised of what you are getting into, and a much better understanding of what our world is changing into. Okay, this is the new paradigm we're shifting into, this is the new currency we're shifting into, and so it's incumbent on all of us to understand what this actually means in real terms. So I'm going to give you a summary of the report, and the only three coins I'm going to do an extended report on is Bitcoin, Litecoin and Ethereum, because those are the coins that I have been following and investing in a small way. Other than that, there are some startup companies. I will give you their names, and but I'm not going to give any of that. That's where all the information is. That's where your money and investment information is coming from, as to what these coins are all about, where they are, what they might do, and the potential drawbacks. Okay, so you're going to have to purchase it to get that information, and it's $99, that works out to $130 Canadian, okay, and it is well worth the investment, because it's 40 pages long, and there is a staggering amount of information in this report. Okay, so let's begin. It's great, and the thing I do like about it is it's kind of like a little webbot report, because it deals with quite a lot of other issues other than the cryptocurrencies. So what is going to be happening in the next few months? Okay, well, crazy shit is arriving. Those are Clif's words, and crazy shit is arriving in the form of a wave that is going to hit around about November the 18th, and it will peak around about the 21st, and it will be followed by two more waves that will pass through before the winter solstice. So that is a little over a month and a week away. Now this is all going to occur in the form of revelations, of secret revelations. Okay, this crazy shit arriving is going to affect all things money, the money economy, and related sets point to markets of all kinds, including cryptos. Now there'll be large amounts of FUD, fear, uncertainty and doubt. Some of the spike in cryptocurrency activity is in part due to the shit shocks that are occurring around the country and the world, and that would be the Hollywood revelations, which is now spreading to politicians and bankers and the banking institutions. Okay, so this crazy shit is slapping people across the face at the secrets revealed from these three waves reverberating into 2018 and possibly the next decade. Long held, deeply buried secrets are going to be exposed over the next 8 months, such that the global, now that's mostly the Western republics, mindset or paradigm is going to be reset at significant levels. And this is going to allow major changes to structural levels. Okay, and that's very important because we have a structural crisis in place now in the world. So allowing changes at the structural level is very, very important. Okay, so turmoil at the top of the empire will engage us for the next 2 years in an active sense with words like arrests, drama, deaths, betrayal, revenge, chaos, and many other emotionally laden terms. And again, this is about the revelations that are now starting. You can see we're just on the cusp. We're just on the edge of the storm. We're just looking at the clouds, as Clif showed in his picture, on the edge, heading our way. Over the next 2 years, it will really be revolving around the mindset or the mind bending or the mental breakdown as the USA population gets its head around its changing image. So the false image of the USA reality will be assaulted from without and crumbling from within. And you know, this might seem a very small thing, but it is incredibly important to human individuals and human societies to have a coherent narrative, a coherent story that holds everything together. And what you're going to see is that that story is going to start falling apart, and well, we're going to have to create a new story for ourselves. Okay, this in turn will prompt the public to be interested in cryptocurrencies, banking and money things in general. Okay, so the population is going to start educating itself about cryptocurrencies. You're going to see more and more it's going to be mentioned in the mainstream media. As you've been noticing, I've made a few videos about what I saw in the news and the way that papers are now, more and more, the nationals are talking about cryptocurrencies. There will be words like moving away from governance and power, and relocation, starting anew, or bearing away from. Okay, so in November we'll see problems with ICOs, and that's initial coin offerings, and there'll be problems with facts and formulas, and all of these companies are within the crypto space. Okay, now the mainstream media will take a pounding for the underhanded and dirty dealing with ICOs, as some of them have been targeted. Now you've got to remember that these cryptocurrencies are an incredible threat to our banking institutions, because what you will not be able to do with cryptocurrency is fractional reserve banking. So the whole concept of debt, as we've known it so far, is just going to become meaningless, and money will go back to its traditional usage, which is as a method of transaction. Now those are my thoughts, that's not Clif's thoughts. Model space shows a growth sets for image destruction of financial media outlets as their prejudice and lies reach a threshold so as to provoke a self-directed blowback. And this could be the kind of humbling apologies we're now starting to see from the Hollywood actors who have behaved so disgracefully and disgraced the name of themselves, their families, and Hollywood. The largest sets show the mainstream media at a point of systemic crisis, which creates problems for researching and digging out information over the next 2 years. A meme about crypto ICOs that are too difficult to understand and or use will create a flood of new books, CDs and videos on the subject. Even I put out a couple of videos on how to buy Bitcoin and that kind of stuff, and if you do a YouTube search for Bitcoin, how to use Bitcoin, anything like that, you are now going to turn up literally hundreds of videos discussing the whole idea of using cryptocurrencies, how to get them and where to spend them. Now these secrets revealed will not only relate to politics and Hollywood, but to banking and cryptocurrencies. There will be a birth of new cult and the death of old ones. And what you've got to remember about secrets revealed, after you've been reading Clif High's work for a while, what you realize is that there are two interpretations. So there will be the secrets revealed as in dirty dark secrets from the past, and this is a new concept to many, many people, myself included, and we're all learning the secrets of cryptocurrencies. These scandals we will and are seeing will also affect and rock the money world of both cryptos and fiat. And there will be a very shocking revelation about a money issue with a major Christian church. Okay, not quite sure who that might be, but there is going to be a major money scandal, and this is also going to rock the money world. It's going to create a climate of fear throughout the money world. Over the next few months, the breakdowns will also be associated with magnification Also that large numbers of people in Canada, US and the EU will be in turmoil. During this time, cryptocurrencies will be offering both optimism and a release from the negative stresses within the larger social order, and will lead to a fast paradigm shift a few weeks after the shock has worn off of the situation. Okay, because you know, when something happens, when a big thing happens, like 9/11, you go into a state of shock for a little while, because you have to assimilate the new information and decide how you're going to respond to it, or what your response will be. Through December there will be spikes in the crypto space. Much of this will be caused by crap coins falling out of crypto space. Also from arguments and internal conflicts which will lead to a wider meme about companies going kaput. And they're going to go kaput not due to the technology, but arguments about the technology. Lawyers will become involved, and that will only serve to muddy the water. And this will act as a clearing of the air, and some of the crypto companies will merge, and some of the talent will be hired by major global corporations. Now, I don't know if you remember back in leading up to the year 2000, when we were in the dot-com bubble. Okay, there were people in businesses that occupied such a narrow niche. You know, I listened to one guy being interviewed. He actually couldn't explain what he was doing, because it bridged a very small gap in technology, and a lot of those companies just disappeared, or they merged into larger companies. They were bought up because they could be integrated and what have you. And so this is the same kind of situation. Okay, so now we're going to go into crypto space subsets, and this is advertising. So internet advertisers will become storm-tossed globally. They will begin to unravel and crash as traditional methods of advertising don't work on the internet. And a shocking year-end report is expected from major corporations, and blame dumps become the drama of the day. Okay, now we're going to look at gateways, and gateways are showing steady growth with transition and governments, fees, taxes, payments, and to a lesser extent payroll. Now, don't misunderstand this. When I first read that, I thought that there was going to be fees and taxation put on the use of Bitcoin, but no, what he's talking about is using Bitcoin in the payment for payroll, fees, taxes, governance, etc. Cross-border payments and descriptors like payments, trials, tests, atomic chain swaps. There'll be new language, and successful sales pass through blockchain gateways in China. Okay, IoTs. An IoT is an in-out transaction, will be the order of the day, and new products will be prone to crashes. Okay, so this is how you turn your Bitcoin into money, and your money into Bitcoin. And I do see there was an article in the paper, or a story in the paper the other day about a tax scam where a woman was convinced to pay $12,000 to somebody through a Bitcoin terminal, and she went to a variety store in Richmond Hill, which is just a suburb of Toronto, and put a $12,000 into a Bitcoin machine and made the payment that way. So here we are, we're getting greater access and easier access to Bitcoin, and some way of plugging into the system. Okay, so we're going to go into the analysis section, and this is a list of new coin offerings at the startup stage. So there's Cryogem, Debitum, Grid Plus, Playkey, Polyswarm, Winding Tree, Rate Date, Singularity Net, Estate Coin, and then we come to Bitcoin. Okay, so Clif High had predicted a high of the mid 7500s in November. Okay, so we've done that. We I think it was 7450 was the high, something like that. And he said in the last report that would be followed by a 40% crash. Now, over the last week, Bitcoin crashed to as low as 5,400, but that's still not 40%, which would be closer to 3,700. So is that still to come, or was that the $1,000 drop? Because one of the things that I found with Clif High and his reports is that sometimes they're off in timing and numbers, so watch out for that. There could still be another surprise drop, and basically what I'm thinking with Bitcoin is that if it would have dropped down to $3,700, I might consider investing some more money into Bitcoin, like maybe even going into debt to do that. So there are still crocodile teeth forming, but these teeth will be more like molars rather than these spiky front teeth. Okay, so there'll be more plateaus and smaller dips, and this will be a consolidation for Bitcoin. But next year, wow, after that consolidation, there's a price prediction of $13,888 by February, and then it'll be followed by a 30% big drop. But that might happen just over the course of a weekend. Bang, drop down, bang, back up again. And by early May, Clif is predicting that Bitcoin will be $40,000. That's May 2018. Now there's Bitcoin Cash and Cousins, Dash, EOS, Ethereum. Ethereum will have challenges with some security issues that will arise through internet chatter. It will not rise as quickly as other coins, so it will be rising a little bit between now and the end of December into January, but it won't be really keeping up with the other coinage. And they will be announcing that they're shifting to a new platform, and some of the security or all of the security issues will be resolved, and then it is looking at a very rosy 2018. Litecoin will continue to grow into 2018 with signs it will mirror the early stages of Bitcoin and forecast to be in 3 figures, and that will create a very solid floor for Litecoin in 3 figures. So that could be anything from $100 to $999. Then there's Neo and OMG or OmiseGo, Populous, Ripple, Spectre-AI, Verisatium, Vertcoin, Sovereign tokens. Okay, then he gets into dirt space, which is really about the real estate. And he says the real estate market will reach a crescendo in new all-time highs on very, very few homes. There'll be a very narrow sector that will reach staggering highs, but the vast majority of houses are going to basically stagnate. They're not going to drop. They are going to be, reluctant to drop in price, and this is because there's no new inventory being created. And one of the big issues is going to be debt. People are not going to be able to get mortgages, and there is going to be a loss of dreams for many middle class home purchasers. There will be many houses flooding into the market in December and January, and this will be due to a breakdown in the rental market. And this is kind of interesting because, I had a chap coming into my store. He was from New York, and he was going around buying up all of these distressed properties at a very, very, very good price, doing a renovation, and he was involved in a government program to house Haitians. So basically, the government was paying a subsidy to the Haitians so they could pay the rent, which he collected on the house, which he had just bought for a bargain basement, as I said, and a simple renovation. Now, all of those Haitians are fleeing America because they think that they're going to get thrown out with President Trump and his new immigration order. And so they are flooding across the Canadian border. And I wonder if that's what's going to lead to the breakdown in the rental market. Now, there will be a big drop in the US and Australia, but not so much in Canada. However, house prices will drop in 2018. And that brings us to the end of the crypto storm. Okay, so let me just read a little part of this conclusion to you by Clif High. Secrets revealed. The words that will be defining this and maybe the next decade. It takes a decade, a few years to get its feel across. Humans have a tendency to project the current now feeling forward in their perception in time. What will this decade be known by? Secrets Revealed may be making its bid for the decadal title over this and next year. The currently rising wave of Secrets Revealed is showing within our data as not cresting for another 2 years. Storms upon the earth or within humanity drive all ahead of the rage and fury of nature unleashed as change. Change writ large proportionate to the storm is arriving now. As noted previously, the confluence of events as this year ends with Secrets Revealed dam being breached and 2018 opens to a flood of secrets most dark is part of the populosive mix of emotions that will be in control of the unfolding of the new view of the future that will begin to emerge even as the flames are flickering within the fiat currencies littering the planet. Will the wave of secrets revealed break us into the next decade as an echo, albeit technologies oriented at the last century's roaring 20s? Model space has seemingly offered up this view for a number of years. This consistently tied elements of blockage within the political financial system of the corruption, pollution ending has always been temporarily conjunct with eruption of new businesses, new talent, new technologies, new understandings. The old, fiscally constipated, emotionally coagulated system is dying. Freedom to see reality is emerging. Within our data sets, the freedom to imagine a realistic, unbound future for humanity has been characterized as the far look. And it is also associated with a certain facial expression, a certain depth to the eyes that must be earned and burned. As the data suggests, the explanation will go. Those who wear the far look are being so moulded even now. These younger generations are to be the change embodied for humanity in all nations across the planet. In fact, they will make the nation state irrelevant. They are taking us to space. They are out there now. If you are discreet and learn to see it, you can recognize them now. The far look has arrived. So this is Hound Dog Steve signing off. Please, if you've enjoyed this little report, like and subscribe, and don't forget to click on that little bell and then you'll get all of the updates. And I want to thank all of my subscribers. I would like to thank all of those who have supported me in one way or another with your comments or financially. It is absolutely heartwarming and amazing to see that kind of thing taking place. And it really does restore one's faith in human nature. Okay, so you take care now. Have a great week, and we will talk to you real soon. See ya.